Let's solve literal equations today. We're going to solve for W in this one, and we're going to use that do-undo chart in order to just kind of understand what's happening. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the variable we're going to solve for. And in that case, it's going to be W. And what we're going to say is, well, what is the first thing that we are going to do to W? If you notice attached to W, there is a 2. So the first thing we're going to end up doing is multiplying by 2. After we multiply by 2, you'll notice that there's this whole entire term out here of 2L. And it looks like what we're doing is we're adding 2L to it. So I'm going to say, okay, our next phrase would be we are adding 2L. And so if we walk through the steps, we multiply by 2, and then we added 2L, and that will give us what P is equal to, okay? So now to undo that, we're going to go in the opposite direction. So we work down this way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work back this way. So we started with P, and instead of adding 2L, we're going to be using the inverse. We're going to subtract 2L from P. And after we subtract 2L, it says, okay, we had multiply by 2. So what's the inverse of multiplying by 2? We are going to divide by 2. Okay, and then once we have that, we should end up with what W is. So let's go ahead off to the side. Let's write that out with our undo statement. So I'm going to say P equals 2W plus 2L. And let's just follow what our statements are for. So it said subtract 2L, so let's do that. So I'm going to subtract 2L. One thing that we're going to have to really pay attention to is that P and L are different variables. So we're just going to write it as P minus 2L. We can't combine them because they are not the same. 2L minus 2L is going to cancel, giving us 0 because they're inverses. And then 2W moves down, and there's nothing underneath there. So we've subtracted the 2L, and now what we are going to do is we're going to divide by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So we divide by 2. The 2's are going to cancel because they're inverses of each other, and we're going to be left with W equals to P minus 2L all over 2. You'll notice that W is isolated, it's all by itself. So we have officially solved for W. And that's what we're going to do for solving literal equations with a do-undo table.